Hi, welcome to a Foxgloves Handiwork. I'm Amber. We have a lot of new folks following along, so welcome. I am so glad you're here. Today is a new video for me as far as YouTube. It is some DIY projects using materials you have in your home. I have been doing these types of DIY projects for a very long time, and actually was part of why I wanted to create this channel, because I was like, hey, these are kind of some good ideas. Other people might be interested in them. And so whether you're inspired to do some of these yourself or just enjoy watching, following along, I'm excited to share. You know how annoying it is when the candle still has some wax, but it's no longer lighting, and it's such a good little ceramic pot. What can you do? So I'm going to show you how you can melt that wax out of there and create a planter pot. For melting the wax in the microwave, the first thing you'll need to do is remove the metal little wick thing holder. Do not put that in the microwave. You'll probably kill your microwave. I had trouble with the knife. There was like a glue holding down the wick thing, so I got some pliers to get it out. I gently tested the side of the ceramic to see if it'd be too hot, and this wax is not melted enough. So I put it back in the fridge, and that did the job. The other way that you can melt the wax is by boiling a pot of water and putting that candle directly into the pot. See how the wax is melting on the edge there. Be sure to use gloves or something when removing this out of the hot water, because that ceramic will be hot. Safety first. Next is to carefully fish out those metal pieces. You won't be needing those anymore unless you like making candles. That could be maybe another video, but get those out. I next poured the liquid wax into just a container to save and use for a future project, or I do have a tea light candle that will melt wax. The dish was still kind of hot, so I used a mitt, but I used paper towel just to wipe out kind of the excess wax. As I mentioned earlier, this one had some glue or some sort of substance that was holding that metal thing down. That did not come out from the warming up in the microwave, so I got a little knife, butter knife, and scraped that out. It was kind of soft, some sort of wax or something, but just scraped it away. Next up was to wash the ceramics. I let them sit in really hot soapy water first, just to help get that paraffin and wax off, and gave them a good little scrub. After cleaning out the containers, you can truly use them however you would like. It could be a bowl, it could be a place for keys. I am choosing to turn these into potter plants. I've done this before. I just absolutely love it. The only thing to keep in mind is there's no drainage. So when I'm watering my plants, I just keep that in mind. If you have a way to drill a hole without breaking, maybe that'll be something I research, but that's ideal. However, You got a container, you got some plants. I have also used old cracked mugs. I got this one at an estate sale, and this mug, love it, but it literally broke. The handle broke off. I think I dropped it. So it has been repurposed into a powder plant. Dun 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 dun. Do you, like me, feel overwhelmed and drowning in your plastic bag? This next project is for you. You are going to need old plastic bags, scissors, a kind of large needle, not the blade of grass, large needle, and string, or I found this super cool yarn string. Actually got it at Goodwill. Really pretty colors. So the first thing I started doing was straightening out the plastic bags to start creating some cordage. Once I got it straight, I started twisting the plastic bag to again make it more like a cord. This is going to make it a lot simpler to wrap the yarn around. I recommend threading your yarn before you begin wrapping your yarn around the cordage. That way, when you need to start threading it through, your needle is ready. Next, you'll take your yarn, or I'm using this fabric, to wrap around one end, covering up the plastic bag cordage. You'll do this until you're able to roll some of it into a little spiral, and this will be the very center of your woven basket. Continue to wrap your yarn around the plastic cordage, keeping that center spiral nice and tight. Then you can continue to roll it as this and see how the spiral gets bigger. Next, you'll grab your needle and you'll actually go up and over 2 rounds. So the first one I think is just the middle. Yep, just putting it right through the middle there. After you've pulled it through, just continue winding around that cordage until you have about 1.5 inches that you can start spiraling around the edge, and again pushing that needle through. I think at this point it's still kind of in the center, through that center spot. Now that the wrapped cordage is starting to make layers around, you can think about that wrapped cordage as layers. You want to put the needle through the second one in. So there's the cordage that you're wrapping, and then that second one in. That's where you'll put the needle through. Then you'll continue this process over and over again, wrapping around the cordage, sewing through that second layer, and continuing to wind as you watch your piece get bigger. As you get to the end of that bag, you'll need to add another one. So stretch out another plastic bag. And so what's left of my woven part is the handles. I chose to flip it so the bottom of this next bag overlap the handles of the one there, the darker gray one, so that it just makes it sturdier. I just twisted it around and then continued to wrap the fabric or the yarn around it, and you're set. So now I'm starting to fold that cordage on top as opposed to on the outer edge. That's creating the lip of the basket. You can choose how you want that. Like, do you want a wide, gentle sloping, open kind of bowl, or a more harsh kind of 90-degree turn? You get to choose. That's one of the many reasons I really like this project. For finishing your wrapped woven little basket, you'll continue to wrap that last little bit, but sew down every wrap around until you've covered up your plastic cordage. Take that last little end and either tuck it in. If you're using yarn, you could probably weave it, use a crochet hook to kind of pull it back underneath the wrapping. And voila, you have yourself a little basket. I chose to keep this small, but you can choose how big you want to go. You like me and have a hard time recycling those glass containers that could be used again. For this project, we'll be cutting the glass. Pour some alcohol into a bowl. Just a small amount is needed. Then put some cut cotton yarn or thread, probably not thread, yarn, string into the alcohol and let it soak for at least 30 seconds to a minute. I found that it works better if it's soaking longer. Next, you'll take your glass that you are wanting to cut, carefully grab the end of the string out of the alcohol and drape it over the glass. I like rolling it so that the less I'm touching it and it's getting on my fingers. Some videos I saw said to tie it. I found that if you just roll it or kind of twist it around the ends, it does just fine, but you can also tie it, just making sure to cut off any excess string. In the sink, I recommend having a metal bowl of ice, lots of ice. You'll put your container with the alcohol-soaked string and light that on fire. So the alcohol is what's burning. I am carefully kind of rotating the container, and notice how my fingers are tilted down. So I'm intentionally kind of tilting the container up so that the flame is going away from me, again, over the container of water for safety reasons, but also because I'll be plunging this container into that cold water and hoping it cuts the glass. I can see that the bluish flame is out. That's when I know to plunge it in. Sometimes the ends of the string will still be burning, and that's more yellow. I left this jar in for about a minute, but unfortunately it did not crack. I found I had to do this several times to get it to crack. roll in the video of it working. Take some sandpaper. I used 100 grit and sand those sharp edges. Probably better to do this outside for the dust, but just really sanding those down. And I made sure to sand quite a bit before I kind of gently tested the edge with my finger. So now this little glass dish can be the saucer. These Chobani containers they do the job, but they're not the most attractive. So I really love how these clear glass kind of trays just elevate these little seedlings I have going. It's really fun. Through the process of cutting glass with the technique I've shown you, I've learned quite a few things. First is that be prepared for, things to not go as planned. Like you can see here, it broke. This was actually a tester one, but is also a good example of how it can kind of crack. So it is not the most dependable way, right? You never know what you're gonna get. I was really happy with how this turned out. I realized that this is probably a little too wide or it's a wider napkin ring. So this is what I had envisioned. However, using the bottoms for like little dishes or my pot planter things, that was the surprise that I kind of found out through this process. The other thing I learned is you want to use a lot of ice. So I think the glass is breaking from that contrast of the heat to the cold. So you want a lot of ice. I used a metal pan so that contained that coldness. And then using at least 2, maybe 3 wraparound or wraps of the cordage that you use, because that is there's more alcohol absorbed, it's going to burn longer, thus making it hotter. So the ones that did crack well, I soaked the cotton cord string in the alcohol for longer than the other ones, probably at least 30 seconds, maybe more. Wrapped it around a couple times, and I tried to be quick because alcohol does evaporate. And then also you saw when it was lit, flames go up. So turning the dish, the cup, container, so that my fingers were down. I kind of angled it so that the flames would go up, so that I didn't burn myself. And of course, I did it right over the ice, so it was quick, but also that's good for fire. Again, this is a more risky or maybe more challenging as far as safety. So please be safe if you choose to do this. Make sure you have the cold water, being careful. This was exciting, but it definitely was kind of alarming having that fire right there. So folks, those are my 3 DIY projects using things that you have in your home that are probably building up, like me. Thank you so much for following along. I really am interested in reusing things we have to either bring our life more joy or just repurposing things, keeping things out of the landfill. I think there's so much that we're throwing out and things could be reused. And so that's part of the goal of my channel, is to show different ways that you can reuse and upcycle. things that already exist, give them a new life. Thank you so much for the new subscribers who are new to the channel. Please give this video a like. I'm having so much fun with this channel. It's been an outlet for creativity for me and just showing different things I'm already doing and things I enjoy, and I'm really glad that some of you are also enjoying following along. So thanks. Want to see more of what I do kind of either behind the scenes or just other things I enjoy? Follow me on Instagram at a.fox.glove.handiwork.